Okay, hi everyone. My name's Mike White, and like these guys were just talking about, like it says here, we are accountants for self-managed super funds. So what we do, we help people establish new self-managed super funds, help you through this establishment process, and we also help people who have already got an SMSF come over to us from another accountant. And the reason that they do that is because we specialize in accounting for cryptocurrency. You're not tied to crypto, you can still invest in anything that you're normally allowed to invest in. But that's our specialty. So quick disclaimer before we do kick off. We are accountants, we're not financial advisors. So we can't tell you what to do with your money. We can't tell you whether you should or shouldn't have an SMSF. But if you do have an SMSF, we can definitely help you with what you can and can't do, what you're allowed to do, how to go about certain things. So really it comes down to, as long as you guys are comfortable making the investment decisions, we look after the rest. So from our experience, we've set up thousands of SMSFs. And yeah, from our experience, we realize that there are generally three reasons why people do have a self-managed super fund. So number one is control. And what we mean by control is you control everything. So when you have an SMSF, there's a bank account, an SMSF bank account that only you have access to. That SMSF bank account is connected to your trading accounts, so an exchange, or an exchange connected to a hardware wallet, so you can do self-custody, or shares, or gold, whatever it is, you control it. So you control the buying and the selling, you control what to buy and sell, you control when to buy and sell. And yeah, custody is a big one as well. So that's the control side of things. Here we go, I've just missed one. So choice. Second reason people have an SMSF is just choice of what you can actually invest in. When you've got a retail super fund, you're pretty much stuck to three main asset classes, being shares, some government bonds, and some cash. When you have a self-managed super fund, the world really is your oyster. You can invest in anything that you would like to, as long as we can actually do the accounting. So we just need to be able to verify the transaction, verify the existence of the asset, and if you can do that, then you can own it within your self-managed super fund. The third aspect is cost. So when you have a self-managed super fund with us, we're accountants. We're not giving you advice. We don't want a percentage of what you have. So you're just literally paying us for the paperwork, for the accounting to actually run your SMSF. So the cost to run it is the same whether you got 50 grand in your super or 500 grand or 5 million, the cost is the same. Whereas when you have a retail super fund, most people don't realize that you actually pay fees there anyway. It's generally a percentage. So you normally pay around 1%. So the more you have in there, the more you pay in fees. We'll get into costing a little bit later on. So how we got started. So I chose, for myself, I wanted to focus on control and choice in my superannuation. Back in 2017, I wanted to own Bitcoin in my super. And I couldn't find anyone to help me out. So financial advisors were useless. They were scared of crypto, to be honest, they still are. And because I knew what I wanted to do with my money, they couldn't find a way to make money off me, so they weren't really much help. And accountants weren't much help either because they didn't have the skills. They didn't have the confidence or the competence to actually do the work. So I spoke to dozens of accountants. I found a couple that were willing to have a crack, but I would pretty much be paying for the time that would take them to actually do the work. So coming from a finance background myself, I thought I'd have a crack, and so I did. So I pieced it together myself. I taught the accountants and auditors how to understand how to read a blockchain, how to verify assets, that kind of thing. And it worked really well. Started doing it for some mates, started doing it for some more mates, and before you know it, we've got a company. So that was back in 2017. We've got over 3,000 clients now. Over 95% of them own crypto in their super. Over 95% of them don't use a financial planner. Close to 99% really. And so we focus on people that know what they want to do with their super and they're comfortable making the investment decisions. And yeah, we've got a 4.9 star rating on Google Reviews, so pretty chuffed with that. And the way that we've done that is two things. Number one, we've got a team, we've got a fantastic team. Make sure you come say good day. We're literally over just behind you at the store right there. And what we do with our team is we take what looks like a mess and we simplify processes. And that's really all we do. We're just as much a tech company as we are an accounting firm. And what we do with simplifying processes is we simplify things for you. So when it takes less time for you to do the work, you have a better user experience. That's great. That frees up time for ourselves as well. And we can use that to improve our own processes internally. And then when we improve things internally, it frees up resources and time and costings. We can make it cheaper for you, and then you have a better user experience. So that positive feedback loop is a core tenet of what we do as a business. And when we started out, we really were just doing the work that no one else wanted to do. So it's hard enough for normal accountants to stay up to date with the tax code. And obviously crypto being a fringe thing, not too many people, they don't have too many clients that are interested in it. And so they've got better use for their time to actually understand all of this stuff. What's an ERC20 token? What's the difference between splits and staking, all this kind of fun stuff. And so that's what we focus on. And we're going to keep focusing on it because that's where, as a business, that's where I see things going. We want to be skating where the puck's going to be. But also, as well as having we want to have a good business, so we want to grow. But just as important as that, the projects that are going to succeed in this space aren't going to just succeed out of nowhere. They're going to do what I believe is going to be a massive service to the world. So things like financial inclusion, privacy, censorship resistance transactions, being able to control your own assets, free speech. This is a massive deal. And the projects that are going to be created here and the ones that succeed are generally borderless. And so that if they do succeed, they're not going to be helping just one portion of the market. They're going to be adding value to every single person on the planet. It's a massive deal. So if you have a look around today at the people at the conference, and you guys here, you guys are a massive part of that. And the goal of New Brighton Capital is to be a part of that too. So just before we do move on, we had Cup Day the other day, who's been to a family event or hanging out with mates, and you're all excited, you're knowledgeable, you've learned about something about this space, and you tell your mates, and they're just not as excited as you thought they could or should be. Yeah. So I get it. I've been in the space for 10 years now. So you guys get it, and that's why we want to be around people who actually get it. So back to self-managed super funds. Could I just see a show of hands who already has a self-managed super fund? See a few? Great. Okay. And who has thought about having a self-managed super fund but just hasn't done it yet? Okay, good number. And who's more than that? You've thought about it. You know you want to do it. You know what assets you want to hold in any SMSF, but for whatever reason, you just haven't got around to getting it. Just haven't got around to actually getting it done. Yeah, okay. So you guys are the ones I want to speak to just for the next short bit, because again, we're not financial planners, we're accountants. And so we can only provide factual information. So if you've already made the decision, we can help you with the process. But I want to talk about the things that generally slow us down. We've got over 3,000 clients. We've spoken to people before, during, and after that whole setup process. And so what we've found is there are reasons why people hesitate and don't pull the trigger. And it comes down to a couple of things. Number one, I think it's either going to be too confusing, too time-consuming, or too expensive. Does that apply to anyone sitting on the fence because of one of those things? Yeah. And so that's what we focus on as a company to help you through that process. And we'll get to a little bit about how, but really, after our clients have become a client, they've gone through the process, our clients are generally happy they've done it. It's way simpler than they thought it was going to be. And yeah, they'd wish they'd done it earlier. So coming into the confusing side of things, look, there's a lot to know when you have an SMSF, at least for when you're doing the accounting, and that's our responsibility. But your responsibility when you have an SMSF is to really just be investing for the benefit of the members in the fund, and you're the member. So you just need to remember that as long as you're acting in your own best interests, then you're doing the right thing. But you can't benefit in any way while you have the SMSF. So you can't pay yourself a fee for managing the fund. You can't pay yourself a commission. You can't buy an investment property and you give yourself or your mates cheap rates, that kind of thing. You've got to keep things separate and you can't use funds for personal use. So again, you're going to have complete control. If you've got access to all your super money, you can't just grab a couple of $100 until payday next week. You just got to keep everything completely separate. Debt. So you can't have any debt with a self-managed super fund. You can't do any leverage trading, margin trading, that kind of thing. I'll fly through a few more of these. You can have insurance within your super, and it is a tax deduction for the fund. So you can actually have your life insurance or total permanent disability insurance or income protection out of your super. Tax is the same. It's the same as your retail fund. So that's pretty straightforward. Multiple members, multiple partial accounts. So you can actually have up to 4 people within your fund. And you don't have to transfer everything over into an SMSF. So if you're happy with a portion of what your super's doing and you just want to take a little bit out so you can get exposure to something that you haven't been able to get exposure to, like something that's here, whatever, then you can have a separate SMSF that's separate to your retail super fund. We do have supported providers, so if you do become a client, just be aware of that. And yeah, we've got more information on our need to know page on the website. But the takeaway here is we've done this process thousands of times. We've got written and video instructions of everything that you're going to be going through. And you only have to go through the establishment process once. All our team, customer service team and the accountants are Australia-based. And look, here's just a list of what you can do for the setup process. It's just a 10-step guide. It's on the website. I'll let you get to that at your own time. But this is just a breakdown of the time that it takes you to actually get an SMSF up and running. So at the moment, if you have a look at the bottom there, the 20 days and 2 hours, 2 hours is the time that you're going to be spending setting it up. So it only takes you a couple of hours, but it might take 2 to 3 weeks, say 10 to 20 days to actually establish the whole fund. Most of that time, you're just going to be waiting for the ATO to either approve the fund or waiting for your existing fund to send money from where it is now into your own SMSF bank account. And again, every part of the process that we have there, we've got the written and video instructions, and you can reach out to us if you have any queries along the way. So when you do have an SMSF, these are the things that you need to do. The tax return, the audit and compliance, that's what you're paying us to do. So anything relating to that, you look after that on the portal and we handle it for you. The bottom there, the investment strategy and the managing your investments. So again, you're the one responsible for the buying and the selling. So again, as long as you're comfortable being the fund manager, then you're good to go. Over the last year, we've set up a new portal. Our clients absolutely love it. And the portal is pretty much your online filing cabinet for the fund. So everything relating to the fund, this is just the homepage there. You've got your files for all your establishment documents and previous tax returns. In there, you can also see all our requests. And they're just itemized one by one. You just submit the information. You can ask us questions there. You can drag and drop any of the documents or files for whatever that relates to. So you just work you through it at your own time. And we'll either ask the questions about it or we'll just tick it off and then it'll be green. So it's super easy. We can also do everything by having you sign electronically. So throughout the whole process, there's not paper going everywhere. I think there's only 2 or 3 pages that you need to actually print off. So you print that at home, you sign it, you take a picture with it, your phone, and you upload it to the portal. That's it. So all those kind of things are just quick and easy. And yeah, the message thread. So we've got a thread there, and it seems really simple to just have a thread for the communication. But most accountants, you've got 100 different threads, 100 different emails going with different subject heads. This just has it all in the one place. So it really does simplify the whole process. But yeah, don't take my word for it. Here's a couple of words from a few of our clients.
When it comes to tax time, it's so simple. They've been amazing.
I'd like to give them a big thanks for making the process so easy and making tax time a real breeze. Yeah, I'd definitely recommend it to my friends and family and have.
They helped me set up my self-managed super fund, and they made what can be quite a daunting process really easy.
Everything about the platform, the usability, the practicality of it is amazing. It's efficient. Tax time is so easy, and I'm such a happy customer.
We were seriously anxious about the process, but setting up a self-managed super fund through New Brighton Capital was surprisingly easy.
Tax time is brilliant. It's never taken me more than 15 minutes to have my tax done and prepared properly.
It takes like 20 minutes for me to do my tax return with them.
Do yourselves a favour and check them out. You won't regret it.
Alrighty, so just there you can see the actual time that it takes clients to actually do the tax return is just a couple of hours. So a couple of hours to set it up, a couple of hours a year, and whatever time you need to actually do your own research and execute the trades. Coming on to the costing. So we mentioned at the start about the flat rate with self-managed super funds compared to the scaling rate when you've got a retail fund. And there's literally a crossover point where you could be doing exactly the same as what you're doing with a retail fund, and it just can be cheaper to have an SMSF, like it says here. Now, most of our clients, what if it's actually more expensive to have an SMSF than have a retail fund? And most of our clients, at least when they start off in this side of the graph. And the reason they're happy to pay a little bit more to have an SMSF is for the opportunity to get exposure to assets that they would not otherwise be able to get exposure to. Okay? As simple as that. So the fees for what we do are $1,800 a year, which is very well priced. That includes the audit. So our fees are $1,800. There's a few, maybe $400 of other government fees along the way. So you're looking at about $2,200 for the year to run your fund. And yeah, that's paid for by the SMSF. So our fees are all tax deductible. And you can take, $2,200 and minus what you're already paying. Anywhere from 0.5 to 3% is a normal rate for a retail super fund, normally around 1%. So that's the cost. And when we have people asking us about an SMSF, sometimes, a lot of the time they ask, well, what's the risk? Look, there's a risk to have an SMSF. If you're taking responsibility for your super, you're making the decisions, yeah, it lies on you. But when people do ask me about risk, I just normally ask compared to what? Like, what are you currently doing? If you've already got a retail super fund, how many people actually know exactly what they have in their super? And saying the medium growth fund at AMP is not an answer. Yeah, so is that a risk? Is it a risk not being able to have custody of your super? These kind of things. So there's definitely a risk, but as long as you're comfortable making the investment decisions, you're happy to take that risk, well then at least you're in a position to maybe have a closer look. So just to summarise, coming down to the confusing and the time that it takes and the cost. The confusing side of things, again, we've done this thousands of times. We've got the processes, the videos, the instructions. We nurse you through the entire process. You can see with our testimonials. And yeah, if you do get stuck, we're always there behind the scenes to help you out. And the time estimate, again, 2 hours to set up, a couple hours a year, plus your own research. And the cost is $1,600 to establish the fund. And then, yeah, including other fees, $1,800 from us and about $400 of the government fees, about $2,200 a year.